Memorial since like 1931. Those were the years. That's when Eaton's would make the floats and then ship them to Montreal and Winnipeg and then burn them in a big bonfire in Winnipeg. And it's really warm now, but it used to be freezing this time of year. And that added to the torture of these parades and how long you have to wait and how long you have to sit. Like on the old Santa Claus parade float, all the reindeer would move, and it wasn't moved electronically or electrically. It was people underneath moving pedals. And I got in it once at the parade headquarters years ago, and I wondered, I mean, it was so claustrophobic, but also I wondered about exhaust. I mean, you have to worry about exhaust getting funneled back into these things. I think it's all super high tech and safe now, but I think in the old days it was a death trap. Everyone is playing the same fucking song. It's fucking grotesque. It's a total failure of imagination. What should people be playing?
Yeah.
Oh, they should just be playing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas by Judy Garland over and over again.
Yeah.
Like from the movie version. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. It may be your last. Next year we may all be living in the past. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Pop that champagne cork. Next year we may all be living in New York. I feel like that if that just echoed and every band played it, I think everyone would just be crying. I mean, once it merged with the marching bands, it'll be like honking out of tune carols, which is fine. I don't mind that. I don't mind the marching music. I mean, it's better when people are freezing and they can't get the notes out. I think it's also exciting, all the costumes, because you're literally the 790th person to wear that costume. I think they're really dirty. And the best ones are the clowns. Do you know the clowns that walk? It seems like they walk on their hands backwards. So the hands are on the shoes and the shoes are attached in the air, and the people look out of a mesh window in the ass of the costume. So basically it's like a face coming out of the asshole waving at kids, which I think is like, it was always my favorite. And I would honestly, if I ever was in a flea market or antique shop and came across a clown suit with an ass window, I would buy it for sure. It's strange though, because now with inflatable ornaments, everyone has on their yard, everyone has a bigger decoration bigger than these floats. I mean, it just looks like a bunch of lawns. Anyway, they should put me in charge of the parade one year. I'd redesign it. I just had a great idea for a float, a prisoner float with some kind of replica plywood prison and then actual prisoners. And then halfway through the parade, they rip open and they flood out into the city. It's like the weirdest noir ever made. And maybe a little sexy, maybe a little romance develops, I don't know. But a prison marching band would be good. A prison running band, fleeing band. They could give out tattoos to the kids, but like real ones with fountain pens. This is a sample chapstick with a faux Hallmark movie called Candy Cane Lane from Prime stickered on it. I don't even know, the movie might have come out 5 years ago for all I know. But to me, this is like frankincense or myrrh. I'm not going to be cynical, because when I would come here with Jack, my nephew, it was truly exciting when the Santa float came by. Because he really thought it was Santa, and he really thought that this person was going to give him what he wanted. I don't know how it looks for a middle-aged man on his own to be waving at these things. I'm going to, though. We'll see what happens. Oh, this kid is just the greatest. He's yelling for Santa. That's what I was like as a kid. I would yell for Santa. When I was a kid on the 24th, I'd love the sense of expectation that the world seemed to have. And then the cruel coldness of Boxing Day, I also loved. I mean, it was just like you might as well stuck a knife in your gut and slit from pelvis to collarbone, you know? So that's beautiful. I was very interested in the history of fake snow, and I think that was the start of it. I think that I was determined to find out what people had used for fake snow in the past, and then you find out it's asbestos, or it's popcorn pinned to trees, or it's shattered glass. And it all seemed so preposterous and dangerous. At some point, I realized that the things that I loved about Christmas, many of the things I loved, that my grandparents would have had, the fake snow, the pipe cleaning ornaments, the rotary wheel lights that lit up Christmas trees, these were disappearing. This was the years we were becoming antiques. And I was writing fiction set in the 30s and then in the 50s, and I wanted to get the details right, and then I realized it was actually hard to find the details, that no one really cared about the material culture of the holiday. No one cared about the lost Pumpkinhead saucers and the Dion quintuplet Christmas books. I was drawn to things that were like forgotten and discarded and disliked and damp and moldy and stuck in closets and attics. And then the more I researched Christmas in Canada, at least, the more I realized that like there's so many Christmas traditions that had just vanished, that my parents didn't remember, that my grandparents didn't remember. So I love that. I love that even the most beloved thing can be forgotten in a generation. At the end of their life, my parents became very demanding about Christmas. They would have a long list of what they wanted. Like my mom would be, I want Gucci slippers, and I want like a fur coat, and they felt we were wealthy. You know, at the time I was making over $15,000 a year, so they felt that they had bought us crap for so long, it was time we took care of them. I mean, the day my mom died, she had 2 pairs of Gucci sandals delivered to the house. I think she thought she could wear them in hospice, or you know, I always admired, I mean, maybe that's the way to go, right? Is shop till the end and think, I'm gonna look so good dying in these shoes. So I always want my stories to be like things. I always want my stories to be like a Christmas cracker or be like fake snow. I don't know what that means, except that I want them to have the same... I always wanted my short stories to have the same surprise and the same ultimate disappointment for the user, and the same cheapness and disposability. So I really aimed for my short stories to be as initially thrilling and then ultimately stupid as those ornaments. I mean, listen to the roar, it's fantastic. Santa! Thank you for coming.
How do you judge
That's
a good
terrific
Santa?
Santa. I think he's really good. And everything looks real.